So when you have these patients who are suffering from polymyalgias, as well as they are also complaining of weakness in the different parts of the body, on general basis, we usually classify, just for the purpose of studies, we have classified them theoretically into different groups. Now, when we look into the different groups over here, we know that the basic pathology over here in cases of myositis is the inflammation. So it's usually an inflammatory response that is resulting in those particular set of signs and symptoms in the individual. Majorly, we have the cases of polymyositis. Now, over here, when we say that this particular patient is suffering from polymyositis, we are basically looking at a patient who is suffering from polymyalgias. There is a symmetrical involvement, and obviously, the patient is also complaining of weakness and chronic fatigue, and these are the only symptoms that the patient is complaining of. He or she doesn't have any other associated sign and symptoms. And then obviously we look into the triggering factors or the factors that can contribute towards the development of this polymyalgic condition that is basically known as polymyositis. So this is the basic definition, or this is the basic clinical presentation associated with polymyositis. Moving on, we have patients who are suffering from dermatomyositis. So over here, when we say that the patient is suffering from dermatomyositis, even this name is indicating that there are some dermatological manifestations also associated along with the polymyalgic condition that the patient is suffering from. So the dermatological manifestations, they basically vary from a single particular rash in any area of the body. And then we have different papular rashes, macular rashes, and these significant rashes have their significant names, particular names that are associated with them. For instance, we have the helicotropic rash that is usually associated, or that is usually associated with the periorbital area. So it's usually the periorbital area, the soft tissues involving the periorbital region are usually associated in the helicotropic rash. For instance, we have a V rash, which is also known as the Shaw's rash, and it is affecting the anterior region of the neck. And there is a particular kind of a rash which is not macular or papular in its origin. It is just the reddish discoloration that is given to this particular neck region. And the V pattern is observed, and that is why it is named as a V rash or a Shaw rash. So these are the particular dermatological manifestations that we'll be studying in detail. And basically, all of these clinical manifestations are suggestive of the fact that the patient is suffering from dermatomyositis. Moving on, we have the inclusion body myositis, and over here usually there is a particular age group that is usually affected by this kind of a pathology. Usually people more than 50 years of age are affected by the inclusion body myositis. The diagnosis is only confirmed after we carry on with the investigations such as the electromyographies and the blood tests are performed, and they are suggestive of the fact that the patient is suffering from IBM, that is the inclusion body myositis. Now, what usually are the clinical features over here are that the patient is suffering from weakness, then there is fatigue, and we have the atrophied muscles that are even seen in these patients. So this is the particular clinical presentation in cases of the IBM. So over here, there is a very thin borderline between all of these categories. The symptoms are usually overlapping in their nature. It can be even a patient who initially presented with polymyositis and later on developed some sort of a dermatological manifestation, and we concluded that this patient is now suffering from dermatomyositis. Even patients with dermatomyositis may, along with the passage of time, they might just suffer from polymyalgias, and their dermatological manifestations, they fade off, they reside off, and we might say that the patient is now suffering from polymyositis. So it's usually an overlapping picture. And that is why we sometimes use the terminology of overlap myositis in the patients. Even the treatments are sometimes quite similar. Usually, the set of drugs or the medications that we usually prescribe to these patients are quite similar. And again, it is very important to address the underlying cause in cases of myositis, whatever the cause is. Either it is the infections or either it is a particular kind of a diagnosis that the patient is suffering alongside from an autoimmune disorder, and you made a diagnosis that the patient is suffering from SLE. You would be starting off addressing the underlying cause first of all, and only then you can have outcomes that are more effective in that particular case. And obviously, we cannot play with the genetics of an individual, but we can basically subside the stressful conditions, whatever they are in the environment, and the environmental factors can basically trigger the formation or trigger the incidence of these polymyalgias or polymyositis in the individual. So it's very important to address these environmental triggering factors first of all, and then obviously keep in mind this complete classification of inflammatory myopathies, and then move on towards a differential diagnosis, then move on towards a definitive diagnosis, and plan out a treatment plan for your patient.